municipality, Wakiso district, and this beautiful morning we'll be speaking matters research, because as we speak now, Minister of Health with a consortium of experts have been undertaking a 4-year research on vector-borne diseases, and this has been happening in the areas of Lake Albert, Choga, and Lake Victoria Basin as well. The findings have been disseminated, but also want to understand what has really been found out, and as far as how these diseases keep breaking out in these areas here. I just want to get a breakdown from one of the that have been leading this research, and this is Professor Lawrence Mugisha, who joined the rest of other team from other 10 countries to, of course, undertake this research. This has been supported by European Union and other institutions of well. But I just want him to break for us what has been really happening as far as how this research has been undertaken. Thank you so much for joining One Morning at 10 TV.
All right, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Good afternoon, our listeners. Our project, which has been running for the last 4 years,
yes,
a cross-disciplinary alliance to identify, predict and prepare for emerging vector-borne diseases, has been a cornerstone for the last 4 years, and our aim was to be able to identify early enough, detect these pathogens transmitted by vector-borne diseases, but also develop surveillance and diagnostic tools to be able to identify them early.
Okay, Professor, let me just draw you back home. Why did you choose these areas, Lake Albert, Lake Choga, Lake Victoria Basin?
Actually, because you have heard that it is 10 universities in 5 African countries and 3 European countries. This research was not only done in Uganda, it was done across all those 5 countries and in Africa and in Europe. But in Uganda specifically, we chose Lake Albert region, Basin, Lake Choga Basin, and Lake Victoria Basin, because previous research that was carried out before identified Lake Choga, Lake Albert, and Lake Victoria as a host for the snails, which are intermediate hosts for transmission of a parasite causing schistosomiasis.
Yes.
So because of that, we had to focus on those areas and carry out research both from the environment, including the water from the lakes, the communities living around those lakes, and the animals around those lakes, to be able to understand if there is a transmission from the environment through intermediate hosts to humans and livestock and vice versa. And indeed, our research was able to establish that actually some of these vector-borne diseases are abundant. One of them is schistosomiasis. Another one is fasciolaris that affects mainly livestock.
That's what I was coming to as well.
Another one is Rift Valley fever, and some other tick-borne diseases, especially anaplasmosis and babesiosis. Those are major diseases that were, through our research consortium, were able to study.
When you're talking about livestock, you're talking about humans and the rest. I know now stakeholders have to be Minister of Health, Minister of Agriculture into these. But how are you trying to use this research to, reflect on maybe the address and response, even preparedness, with the 2 stakeholders that I just mentioned?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, it is more than 2 stakeholders, because apart from Ministry of Health and Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, we also have wildlife on board through Uganda Wildlife Authority. Then we have the Ministry of Water and Environment. They are part of the consortium. And the most important thing, we want to get data and be integrated so that we conduct this surveillance and respond to outbreaks as a joint team of those different bodies in the spirit of One Health. So even in our research,
yes,
it is composed of people from different backgrounds and disciplines and professionals, so that we bring expertise from those different professionals and disciplines together to quickly develop new surveillance tools, new diagnostic tools that then we can use to deploy in detecting some of these diseases that affect humans but also animals.
You're talking about a joint effort which has been done within other member states. What is the comparison that now you have findings from Uganda? Because lakes like Lake Victoria is shared with Kenya and Tanzania.
Yeah, definitely diseases have no borders. They are able to cross from Tanzania to Kenya, from Uganda to Kenya, and that's why even in this consortium, we have members from Kenya, we have members from Tanzania, because we have to put efforts together to do what we call cross-border surveillance. And even when it comes to the developing intervention tools, you will find that some institutions in Kenya, for example, are much more developed and they can easily transfer the technology to our country, and vice versa, Uganda can also transfer technology. For example, Uganda is very, very, very good in surveillance and response to outbreaks, especially for these hemorrhagic fevers like Ebola, like Marburg, Rift Valley fever, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. Uganda is known globally and regionally that we have expertise. We have developed expertise and we are able to respond in a timely manner and be able to control these outbreaks, as you have seen in the recent outbreak of Ebola, which was easily contained.
And now you've got the research findings which you have disseminated. So what next after this, Professor?
Yeah, that's a very, very, very important aspect, and that's why today for us, all these researchers from 10 different universities have congregated together here. One, we first met ourselves as a team and shared our results, then later invited stakeholders from Uganda, through local governments, through One Health platform, through universities, so that we share, because this message should not stop at us. It should now start going through different levels so that the different agencies, including the government, is able to respond and invest in some of the technologies that can help in early detection of these diseases. So that's why we have prepared policy briefs, policy messages, and we are glad that we are doing it together with the media, including the NTV, so that we reach out to all the people widely within our country and beyond, so that this message can continue to filter into the population, and then the population will say, we also engage their leaders that this is a problem, we need a solution.
Okay, Professor, for time reasons, my producer says we have run out of time, but I want to thank you so much for making time to give us this information.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm happy also to have been part of this, to be able to share information to the general public, so that we can jointly work together to eliminate or control most of these diseases caused by vector.